gentlemen. This is Rachel Kirkland, the Modern Shaman, and thank you for being here for one of my question and answer topics on my YouTube channel. So I'm just going to jump right in, except for saying, if you are new, thank you for being here. Please subscribe and become a part of this community, or become a friend of mine on Facebook. I also do live Q&As on my Facebook community, so please feel free to go to my website and kind of connect with me and find out how you can get involved. Okay, here's the question for today. Rachel, thank you so much for your YouTube channel. It's been so helpful to me in my life. My question has to do with my spiritual gifts. I feel like at times they are a curse. What can I do when I feel overwhelmed by all of these energy downloads coming in? Sometimes it feels like I can't work. I just want to sleep. What can I do? Question mark. Overwhelmed by energies. Spiritual gifts feeling like a curse. Okay. I'd say that's pretty common, that especially if you have psychic connections at a young age or non-physical experiences at a young age and you don't quite know what to do with them, or you've never had anyone introduce you to this kind of world, it can feel overwhelming, or sometimes it can feel like you're not in control. But you are. Let me tune into this. I'm just going to quiet down and kind of tune into what Spirit wants to say about it, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Okay, the first thing that Spirit wants me to say, or that I'm tuning into with your question, is that you are not a victim. Okay? This trips a lot of people up, this victim attitude, or this victimization of life, or I've had these things happen to me and therefore I'm a victim. Sometimes that's relevant, but from the higher and higher perspective, it is not. You just aren't a victim. You aren't, unless you choose to do that, but that's because you're choosing to. And even then, you're not really a victim. You're like victimizing yourself. You're choosing that. So there's no one else taking away your sovereignty, unless you, as the chooser, choose to give them that power. So when things are coming in from the non-physical realm, like you mentioned, like energies coming in cosmologically, maybe there's solar flares going on, or maybe there's like you said, downloads that you're receiving from Spirit. If they're coming in too hard or too big or too much, you always have the sovereignty, your free will, to say slow down, or turn it down, or only send me one little brick of information at a time instead of a whole wall of bricks of information. You have control over that. It took me a long time to figure that out, but once I did, it was life-changing. And I do have a video out there in this, if y'all look down my little video log of all the videos I've done over the years, there's one about setting boundaries for Spirit. You have that option. Saying like, I can't work, I have to sleep all day. I don't buy it. Is that horrible? That's a choice you're making. That's a choice you're making. Now, I realize sometimes things feel debilitating, right? When you have a migraine, it's like it feels debilitating. I understand that. And those call for extreme amounts of free will, extreme amounts of pulling in your belief in your sovereignty and your control. So if it's coming to you in extreme amount, there's a calling from your higher space, or from a place that knows you inherently and what you're capable of, that it's calling that out of you to be more empowered in your gifts. These gifts are given to you, and when you stand in them, you are empowered, right? When those downloads come to you, if you take a second and say, okay, I know the best way that I receive downloads is I take a nap for 15 minutes or whatever, and then I get up and I channel it, and I write whatever came through, whatever that download was about. Or I need to sit at the end of the day and write down all the downloads that I felt like I was receiving. Then you can do that, and you can be working during a normal day. And I know this out of personal experience because I live a regular life. You know, I have a job and I have kids, and I do the whole meal deal. And I have my own personal spiritual walk, just like everyone, okay? So the integration of this is so important. We have a tendency to separate the physical from the spiritual. And I don't feel like that's relevant anymore, right? I don't feel like that model of like, okay, well, if you're going to be spiritual, you got to go live in a monastery. I don't feel like that's relevant anymore. In fact, I feel like the opposite is being called in humanity, to integrate, to learn how to truly live a human life at an integrated, higher vibrational level. So that feeling like I can't do anything other than just equalize my energy, or I have to just fully focus on only spirit. There can be ebb and flow times like that. Like I said, if you tune into it and there's a bit where it almost feels like spirit's like you need to fast and be by yourself this weekend to just really, really bring in this information, it's super important, and you know, that kind of thing. But if it's constantly like that, if it's constantly debilitating and stopping your life, there's a sense that you're playing victim to your gifts. And it shouldn't be that way. They should empower you. So when those energies, like I said, come in, then you stand in them like, ooh, I'm getting a download right now. I can feel it because I feel really sleepy, or I feel really, this is how I receive information. And then you can set out of your free will this statement, well, you know, Spirit, I want to receive these downloads without the added energy of sleepiness, or without needing a nap, or come back to me when it's nighttime. Okay, or I want to receive these downloads when I'm supposed to be sleeping at night. Set up those structures for you. If you don't like the way it's coming in, it's up to you to say to Spirit, or to say to the cosmos, nothing's beyond your free will. You're a limitless being unless you place a limit on yourself. So sure, you can say to the sun and the moon, you know, that ebb and flow in your emotional body. Sure, you can say, tune down the emotional like roller coaster in my life right now. I'm going to tune it down. And when it starts coming in, you can literally like visualize a frequency meter or a dial and just turn it down. And you can sit and feel into it until you feel like, okay, it's been turned down. I can feel it. And I'll get that sometimes. I used to do it. I used to get really, really high-pitched screeches in different areas of my ears when I would feel like interference coming in. This was mainly when I was younger, and didn't know how to assimilate it, or it would be associated with different species, or different people speaking to me in the non-physical realm, or just feeling like there was interference in the non-physical realm, like something was trying to come through and somebody else didn't want me to hear it, or just weird non-physical stuff. And I realized I could literally just say, no, I'm not having it. No. And if I fully aligned with that, my ear would just literally like stop. The noise would just stop. Now I had to be fully aligned with it, like I really had to mean it. So I had to get really intense and sincere. But then after a while, I got so good at it, I didn't have to be so intense and sincere. I could just be like, nah, not having it. It doesn't work in my house. That's not the way that I play in this body, okay? I don't have things come and go as they please. You got to ask my permission before you come in here. Or you got to turn the volume down if you're going to try and speak to me. Or you got to speak one at a time if you have something to say. Or you got to wait until I want to diffuse that energy in. I got to invite that energy in instead of you just overwhelming me with some non-physical energy, okay? You have free will. You're not a victim of these things. And not just that, but it is a completely empowering gift to stand in these things. And you didn't mention what spiritual gifts you felt like were a curse, a lot of times that's people that consider themselves empathic because they don't have boundaries. They haven't set those boundaries up, or they haven't decided how they want spirit to interact with them. I'm telling you, you got to go back and watch that spiritual boundaries thing, that video that I did a couple of years ago. But there is a completely different energetic switch that goes on when we move from victim mindset to self-sufficient, self-empowered, sovereign being mindset. This is your life. You get to choose. You get to choose in all ways. In all ways. And there's nothing, again, I said it a minute ago, but I'll reiterate it because Spirit's like, really loud and clear. There's nothing beyond you. Okay? There's nothing like, well, I can't, astrology says I'm a Gemini, so I'm just going to have a split personality all the time. That's just the way it is. No. You can align with that if that's relevant for you, but there is always a choice in that. You still, as the creator, have a choice of whether that you will be the exception to that rule or you will validate that rule or belief system or what have you. I hope that makes sense to you, and I hope you feel empowered. I was kind of like coming at you with some serious energies, but I want you to feel empowered by it. It's not debilitating. I understand. Believe me, I understand the depth of it. I have had, a stroke due to massive energies coming in through my inner ear. I've had all sorts of things. And yet, I still, to this day, stand and tell you that is a gift, and I fully embody my multidimensional body, and I want to, and I am integrating it, and I'm inspired to integrate it. So it's possible. And just like everything in life, when something like this comes to you, you have the choice of whether it will empower you or whether you will empower it, which there is really no it, but something that you view as outside of yourself, that you're basically siphoning off your energy towards. But even that, is a fallacy, because that is your creation. So the energy you put there this is all your energy. I can get metaphysical on you, but all that being said, you are not a victim. You are an empowered, divine being. You are a creator. So create it the way you want it to be. If ever there's a big flag that says, rethink your creation, is when we feel like we are a victim to something. Because essentially we've created something that we don't like the alignment of, or we don't feel like we have alignment with, or we feel frictional. So then just take a look at it and be like, I don't like that anymore. I'm not vibing with that whole, I'm a empath, and so everything hits me, and I just feel everything, I'm just way overwhelmed, and I just can't do this, and I can't do that, because this is how I am, and this is, you know what I'm saying? Instead, utilize, like the example of an empath, utilize the fact that you can connect with everyone's emotional energy, and go up to someone, give them a hug when you know emotionally as an empath they need it, or pay for their meal secretly as you're walking out of the restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Like, empower yourself with those things instead of feeling victimized by them. Okay, I love you. I love you. I love you. And just sending you all joy and authority to be your divine self in the fullness of your capacity for this lifetime. That you just keep going and going and going. As a limitless being, you just keep expanding, expanding, expanding. Love ya.